We've just launched our latest call center helper research, what contact centers are doing right now. A really interesting section of the report. You mentioned that voice of the employee is an underused source of customer insight. I mean, if you were a contact center leader, how would you utilize this source more?
Yeah, so this is a huge opportunity for every contact center, and everyone is aware now of the value of listening and acting on employee feedback and kind of getting them engaged. And obviously, research came out, what, 5+ years ago that connected employee engagement as the biggest driver for customer experience. So I think the business case is pretty solid. But if I was a contact center leader, I would focus on a couple of things. I think number one, I'd create a voice of the team strategy or framework or system that articulates how we listen and learn from the voices of our teams. I think we can't assume it just happens by itself. We have to have intent. And this goes beyond the kind of annual employee engagement tick box survey that every organization does. This is something a little bit more kind of agile and employee led. So when I say agile, I suppose I'd ask the team every 8, 10, 12 weeks around that time, what gets in the way of delivering for our customers? And I'd ask that question again and again because you're trying to surface what are the friction points that get in the way. And I'd create the capability and culture that enables then us to analyze this every 12 weeks or so, prioritize, assess the impact. And as I said, it's about removing the friction and also building that trust with your team. Because I think we've all been there before, haven't we? Where we've shared feedback, and it goes off somewhere and nothing changes in the end. So you have to always prove and build that trust. And it's also about getting the right people around the table as well. So for me, it's about it being a employee-led thing. I think that there's nothing worse when it just goes straight up to the kind of senior folk. So how do you get people who are sharing their feedback, actually getting to own and drive some of the changes as well? And I think one thing that goes wrong in contact centers is that we can sometimes be a little bit siloed. So how do you engage with people in tech and product that can be part of that working group as well? So that's what I would do.
Thank you so much. Um, the data also shows a clear divide between methods on the rise and those that you believe will decline. What would you take away from this split?
So I call it the flipping. I think it's something that is gradual and then quite sudden. And I suppose what I mean by this is the more kind of manual, traditional customer feedback routes will become a much smaller part of the feedback pie over the coming years. And I think, have to say it, don't I? But AI, it's going to be largely driven by AI. So journey analytics in particular will be able to flag when someone's having a bad time or kind of off journey. And then you've got agentic AI that will play a role in joining up the data, all the dots of the data. We always know that one of the pain points in every organization is different systems and data all over the place. Agentic AI will be able to join the data dots and either surface that to a human to say, look, someone's having a bad time here, they need to have a call or a text, or the AI will actually do it themselves. And I think one of the most exciting things in this space personally is speech analytics, which is a term we've used a lot, for the last 10 years. It's been around, but it hasn't been as effective as it could be. We're seeing lots of word clouds and keywords. That's interesting, but you can't take action on that. So being able to mine all of those customer conversations, imagine all of your emails and web chats and calls, all of them every day, every week, every month, being able to mine all of those and understand the context, understand natural language, and translating that into a much deeper understanding of the customer and the problem with what then should happen next. And I think we're going to also see a shift here in customer insight teams that in general can be quite head down in the data. And I think those teams will be operating with their heads up and working across the business and be more action focused rather than just creating insights after insights that don't really go anywhere. So yeah, for me, most organizations still hugely overlook and undervalue the gold mine that sits within customer conversation. So I think this will be a real game changer in the future.